Imagine spending so much money on one movie that the studio behind it nearly disappears. That is what happened with Heaven's Gate. When director Michael Cimino began making the film in 1979, he had Hollywood believing he was one of the most powerful young filmmakers in the industry. His previous movie, The Deer Hunter, had won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. Cimino had enormous creative freedom, and United Artists was willing to give him something most directors could only dream about: almost no limits. The problem was that Cimino kept pushing those limits. Heaven's Gate was supposed to be a Western about a conflict between wealthy cattlemen and European immigrants in Wyoming during the late 19th century. The story was ambitious, the cast was impressive, and the production was expected to establish Cimino as one of Hollywood's major filmmakers. Instead, the movie became a financial nightmare. The production repeatedly went over schedule and over budget. Sets were rebuilt, scenes were reshot, details were changed again and again. Cimino became famous for demanding take after take, sometimes shooting the same moment dozens of times because he wanted everything to look exactly right. The numbers kept climbing. A movie that had originally been expected to cost around $7.5 million eventually reached a budget of more than $40 million. For the time, that was enormous, and United Artists was beginning to panic. But the studio had already invested too much to simply walk away. So, production continued. The situation became even more difficult because the movie was taking an extraordinary amount of time to complete. Hollywood was used to directors fighting for creative control, but Cimino was operating on another level. He reportedly inspected tiny details of sets, costumes, performances, and camera positions with obsessive precision. Every decision cost money, every delay cost more money, and every additional day pushed the studio closer to disaster. When Heaven's Gate finally reached theaters in 1980, the reaction was devastating. Critics attacked the film. Audiences largely stayed away. The movie had cost more than $40 million, but its initial theatrical performance was nowhere close to recovering that investment. The financial damage was not just a problem for the movie, it became a problem for United Artists itself. The studio had already been one of Hollywood's most respected companies, associated with major films and enormous creative freedom. But Heaven's Gate became a symbol of what could happen when that freedom went unchecked. The film's failure damaged United Artists so badly that the studio was eventually sold to Transamerica, and its collapse became one of Hollywood's most famous production cautionary tales. But there is something fascinating about the story. Heaven's Gate was not simply a bad movie that cost too much money. It became a battle between artistic ambition and financial reality. Cimino wanted to create something enormous. The studio wanted a successful film. Neither side could completely control what the production became. And that is what makes the story so important. Hollywood has always depended on directors taking risks. Without creative freedom, some of the greatest movies ever made might never exist. But Heaven's Gate showed the industry what happens when nobody knows where the line is. A director can demand perfection, a studio can keep writing checks, a production can keep growing. And eventually, the movie becomes too expensive to fail. That is the real legacy of Heaven's Gate. It did not just become one of Hollywood's most notorious financial disasters, it helped change the way Hollywood thought about giving filmmakers unlimited power. Because sometimes, the most dangerous movie for a studio isn't the one that looks terrible on paper. It is the one everyone believes will be a masterpiece.